Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. So we're in the middle of talking about the new forms that the UAR has released over the past few weeks. We're going to take a break. So we had two more forms to cover. We've covered two so far, but something has come up with using one of these forms and a problem that has crept in. And so want to make you aware of it and maybe give you an idea of how to avoid this issue. So it comes in using the Appraisal Addendum. So we went over that a couple weeks ago. We got a whole video about that addendum, which basically says I'm willing to pay over the appraised price up to a certain amount over the appraised price. So let's talk about that. What's happening is to make offers attractive, because we know the market we're in, a lot of offers, not a lot of sellers. And people are taking away all kinds of contingencies. Buyers are eliminating all kinds of contingencies, and they're using these new forms, which is fantastic. That's what they're there for, very timely forms. But what's happening is we're seeing in Section 8.2, the appraisal condition of the REPC, we're seeing buyer's mark is not conditioned on appraisal. And then we're seeing them use the appraisal addendum at the same time. So what do we got here? Well, it creates conflicting terms. So if we eliminate the appraisal addendum, the appraisal contingency in 8.2, what we're doing is we're saying it doesn't matter what it appraises for. We're not going to cancel. We're giving up our right to cancel based off of a low appraisal. But then if we look at the appraisal addendum, the language in Section 1B says buyer's right to cancel. If the appraised value is less than the appraisal floor, then buyer shall have the right to cancel the REPC in accordance with the terms of Section 8.2A of the REPC. But what did I just say? I just said that 8.2A is not valid. We've marked is not. So here we have the REPC, the body of the REPC saying we're not making this contingent on the appraisal, yet we have an addendum that references that section that's been inactivated, which controls. We created some ambiguity here. So does the buyer go into this thinking that there's a right to cancel based off of a low appraisal? And does the seller think going into this, there's no way that they can back out of this for a low appraisal? So very conflicting terms. Has not gone to court yet. This is so new that I don't know how a court would rule on this. I lean towards probably makes that section of the appraisal addendum ineffective, but I haven't heard the arguments on both sides and haven't seen it played out, so that's just a guess. If I'm a seller and I get this and I see this situation, 8.2's marked is not conditioned on the appraisal, but I see an appraisal addendum on there, I'm probably, as a listing agent, not going to advise my seller to accept it as is, because I don't want it to get later down the road and buyer backs out based on a low appraisal, and the seller's saying you can't do that. You said you didn't condition it on the appraisal, and then buyer says, yeah, but we had this appraisal addendum in there that reinvented the right to cancel. I would want to clarify. So I'd probably counter or treat it as if the appraisal condition is activated, or counter with clarifying that 1.B of the appraisal addendum is not valid. You can't cancel based off the appraisal. So I just want to clarify what I want, whether the buyer wants it to be reinvigorated or not, reinstated or not. I want to know, because I don't want ambiguity later on in the transaction. You know, if it appraises for high enough, it's a moot point, and that's probably what's happening on some of these. But this question is coming up more and more, so we know it's been being used in this fashion, and it was never thought of to be used without the appraisal condition being active in the REPC. So watch out for that. If you get this, try to clarify. Buyer, do you think you're going to have the right to cancel based off the appraisal? If so, let's change the REPC. Let's alter the contract to be clear on that. If seller doesn't find that acceptable, then let's clarify in an addendum and get everyone on the same page so that it doesn't end up in the lawsuit. You don't want to be the test case on this one. So hopefully that will clarify and you guys can handle this when it comes up. Remember, this is not legal advice. This is just legal information. So if you need specific legal advice, please contact your attorney. Leave me a comment if if you have any questions based off of this or any other questions, and we'll try to hit it. We'll try to hit those other forms next week, finish up on those. I think we can actually do both of those in one video. So we'll go for that. Thanks for tuning in.